Okay, so question out of the book. Use your calculator to approximate two values of theta between 0 and 2 pi, round values to 3 decimal places. So, because you need two values of theta, you can't just do it on your calculator. That will just give you one. So we need to think about what's going on here. Well, first of all, if you even think about doing it on your calculator, you look at the old calculator, there's no secant button. So you have to know the partner function of secant, which I call it the partner function, but it's the cosine of theta. And the secant and cosine are reciprocals of each other, so the cosine of this same angle would be 1 over negative 2.667. But we're going to use the positive just to get a picture of what this angle is. Basically, you know that we have 4 quadrants where the angles could go. And we want to know what are two values of this angle that have this value for cosine. There's two angles that would have cosine negative. Now, you remember the way I had us remember this. A silly trig code. This tells us where they're positive. They're all positive there. Sine here, tangent here, cosine here. The sine and its partner function, the tangent and its partner function, and the cosine and its partner function. So cosine is secant, tangent, and cotangent, sine, and cosecant. All right. So, what do we do? All right, well, we know that the cosine is positive here and here, so it's negative in here and here. So I want the two angles, one in the second quadrant and one in the third quadrant. And again, we're dealing with radians, not degrees. That's the clue that we're dealing with radians. So I need to make sure that my calculator is in radian mode. And you can check the mode button and just make sure you're in radian mode. And we'll go from there. So once you're in radian mode, we need to figure out what is the radian angle that this stands for. So we're going to do, type it in. Do you remember what the process is? I'll write my key code here. The first thing you're going to press is the second button. Then you're going to press the cosine button. And then you're going to type in 1 over 2.6667. We're going to use positive here because we're going to get what is the angle if it was in the first quadrant first off. And when you do that, you should come up with 1.1864. So type that in and check. Now, remember the cosine is negative in the second and third quadrants. So I have to take this number, right? And this line here is really pi, right? Because if we start here, 0, pi over 2 pi, 3 pi over 2, and back to 2 pi. Since we're dealing with radians, now I could do pi minus this number, which would back me up a little bit into this quadrant, and pi plus the number, which is going to put me forward a little bit into this quadrant. And that will give you the two answers. So use the pi button and do pi minus 1.1864, and hopefully you get 1.955. There's one answer. And then pi plus 1.1864, and you should get 4.328. And those are the two answers to the problem. Now, you could have gotten this first answer by just typing this into your calculator, but it doesn't help you with finding the second one, so you have to go back to what is the original, what angle are they talking about if it was in the first quadrant. And you do that by making this positive and figuring out the basic angle, and then go back to where it has to be. Good luck on these.